Welcome to lesson 7 of learning the no BS mentality. Weak standards create weak men. Most men want success, they want confidence, and they want freedom, but then they tolerate weak habits, weak friendships, weak routines, weak effort, and weak discipline, right? And then they wonder why their lives are weak. Well, your standards determine your future. Every result in your life is a reflection of a standard that you either enforced or you tolerated. Okay, men do not rise to their goals, they fall to what their standards are. So, in today's episode, we're going to try and switch our mindset from how do I become successful to what standards would a successful man refuse to compromise on. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, section 1, every standard is a filter. You need to think of your standards as a gate. All right, and inside of the gate is you and your discipline, your growth, your honesty, and your ambition. And outside of the gate are the excuses, the laziness, the distractions, and the negativity. All right, without standards, all of this gets access to your life. All right, moving on. Weak standards in relationships. A lot of men take a lot of disrespect and manipulation from women, and they allow emotional chaos and constant drama into their lives, not because they deserve it, but because they fear being alone. But the fact is being desperate for female attention allows men to tolerate things that they shouldn't be tolerating. All right, and at the end of the day, this isn't even really about women. It's about men not having any self-respect for themselves. All right, now we got weak standards in friendships. Most young men know exactly who's slowing them down in life. They know who the negative influences are, who's constantly partying, right? Who mocks ambition, who supports their comfort. Your standards need to decide who stays in your life, not your emotions. You need to understand that a lot of friendships survive because of the history you have with that person, not because of the value that they bring to their lives. And this can be a tough thing for a lot of people to figure out, and it can be a hard pill to swallow, but it's just the reality if you want to be different. All right, now we got weak standards in yourself. A lot of men think standards are external when in reality they're internal, right? They'll say, I'm going to go train, and then they don't. Or they'll say, I'm going to wake up early, and then they don't. And eventually their brain learns that their words mean nothing. And this destroys their self-respect, okay? And what this looks like is for a lot of men, there's a huge gap or a wall between what they want and what their standards are, right? Because most men want freedom, confidence, respect, success, and strength, right? But their standards are sleeping in, scrolling, quitting, and seeking validation and comfort, okay? Your standards need to match your goals. All right, one last visual for you guys. We have the standard ladder. The top of the ladder represents your goals. Each rung represents your standards. When your standards are strong and you're not missing any rungs, you have a straight path to your goals. But when you have weak standards and you're missing rungs in your ladder, it's impossible to reach your goals. Most men aren't failing because their goals are too high. They're failing because their ladders are broken. You cannot demand extraordinary results while maintaining ordinary standards. You cannot build a strong body with weak discipline. You cannot build confidence while constantly disappointing yourself. And you cannot build freedom while remaining addicted to comfort. The life you want exists behind standards most men refuse to enforce. And those standards are not what you say, they're what you constantly allow. And they determine who you will become, they determine what you tolerate, and they will determine how you live. Because in the end, a man's life will always rise or fall to the level of his standards, and weak standards create weak men. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.